Hi, this is Wilna Furstenberg, and today I'm bringing you the video for the 213 in 2013, which is a video series about creative prompts. And this is the page that I'm going to show you how to make. And my prompts is the following. So we're going to be working with a grid, use watercolors, and do our journaling by numbers, and that's a fascinating concept that I just love working with lately. So starting off with the page, I'm just going to show you quickly a few of the supplies that I'm going to use. You will see some Heidi Swap frames, some Instagram photos, 2.5 by 3.5 inch cards, Amy Tangerine rub-ons, this beautiful color wash mini pad, and the Maggie Holmes chipboard, and I'm going to be using mainly the letters. Also, my background is this ruffle paper by Dear Lizzie, and I have a love affair with the ruffle paper. And tomorrow I'm bringing you another video in the Mute Scrap where we are going to be very creative with this ruffle paper. So I have a couple of these cards, 2.5 by 3 inch, and I'm going to use them as the background to each of my photos and journaling, and I'll show you how we're going to layer it. So the first thing we're going to do is work with watercolors. So I'm going to cut out this beautiful hand-drawn rub-on by Amy Tangerine, and I'm going to place it on one of the cards on the B side, so the smooth side, and I'm going to rub it off or rub it on. And then we're going to use watercolors and color it for a very colorful embellishment. And I really just want to show you how easy it is to do something like this. Even if you're not artistic, even if you've never worked with watercolors, this is really, really so simple to do. And I really want to encourage you to try this at some stage. So I'm using my watercolors that I bought from 2 Piece in a Bucket. And you just need a small brush, and then you're just going to proceed and literally color the rub-ons with watercolors just like you would do pencils. Now the trick about watercolor, and I do cover this extensively in my art class, both of them, is to work in layers. So you'll see I'm adding a little pink, and I'm staying away from the green that I just painted because otherwise the colors will flow. And then just let the layers dry before you add more watercolors. So I'm going to be using my embossing tool to dry it, and that works wonderful. And it dries fairly quickly with the embossing tool, and I love how the watercolors dry when you just how the drops dry when you use a embossing tool. Once it's dry, you're going to add more layers of watercolor, and that really is the secret to working with watercolors. You can also see that I'm dabbing it on in certain places. So more almost like drawing with your brush versus just painting. And this rub-ons makes it easy because it has little lines, so you can just follow the lines. So again, I'm drying it between the layers, and then I'm going to add another layer to it, and that makes it a very interesting piece of art that you're going to add to your page. And I'm not going to skip this part forward. And now you can see just adding a different shade of green to the leaves just gives it that little bit of dimension. And now I'm going to add a little bit of blue to my background. And blue, this beautiful cerulean blue, always makes it so fresh and beautiful. It's one of my favorite colors. And there you have your colored card. And that's how simple it is to make these beautiful Amy Tangerine rub-ons into pieces of art. Also, you can see I'm using a little craft stick to hold my card down when I dry it, and that's just common sense, otherwise it will fly all over the place. There you go, I'm done. So I'm going to put that card right in the middle of my page, and in the end it just worked lovely with the title and everything. So just picking some elements to go with this page. I'm using chipboard, and I'm just using talc or powder just to touch the back of that chipboard to make it less sticky, because I'm not entirely sure where I want to put it yet. And now I'm going to layer each card with just pattern paper, this beautiful label thing page by Dear Lizzie, and really just go ahead and embellish every little frame, so to speak, and staying in the grid for each of the little cards. So you can see I'm using the beautiful color wash paper as a background to one of the cards, and I think in the end I end up using it for 2. And I'm seeing if I want to layer it, and then I decided it's beautiful enough. So, and that card is going to be the number 2 with it, because I have 2 schnauzers. Just a little sticker. And I think this can even work wonderful with pocket scrapbooking. You know, when you work with little grids, it's a very pocket scrapbookish thing to do. So I'm opening up a packet of Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party embellishments, and I'm just using that and the ampersand sign, because I'm going to use my family together with my photos. So just picking out products to see what goes where, and you can see a lot of my process here. You'll see that it doesn't always come easy and natural. Sometimes you have to move things around and decide what goes where and cut things off, and then in the end, you know, you'll find a little place for everything. That number 7 comes from a kit that I got last year or the year before for December Daily, and I saved all those numbers and I just loved them. So I decided to use the 7, and I'm cutting it a little smaller, and I'm going to add the typewriter to it. And the typewriter doesn't have a very deep meaning on this page, except for the fact that it's super pretty. I think that's a good enough reason. So I'm not editing out my elimination process, as you know, as it may, because I want you to see that sometimes moving things around, up and down, back and forth, you know, it's just part of the process. There's no easy way around it. So I'm going to use my tiny attacher and just attach those things together. And that's what I love about this little tool, is before you adhere anything, like I've said, you can just attach them. I love that ombre color orange. So I'm going to cut the card a little smaller and mount it on the ombre paper. You can see how I'm just tracing. And these little cards, 3.5 by 2.5, I cut them with my silhouette. So I'm just going to layer that over there and just embellish. And now you can see how this scrapbook page is coming together, the layout. So about the numbering, you know, you always see in the Time magazine you know, a country by numbers or an event by numbers. And I decided that I made a page for a challenge blog that you had to journal it by numbers, and I just loved doing it. And this page was directly inspired by that page that I made. And so, you know, 2 dogs, 4 people. On that page I did 41. That's the number of years I've been on this earth. You know, on this page I'm going to do 5 because there's 5 in my family. I'm going to do 26 because that's the number of our house, 26 McKnight. I'm going to do 14 because that's how many years since I painted a canvas. And you can see the canvas is in that little Instagram picture. So it's just very random, the numbers. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't have a reason to use 7, and then I just made it 70 times 7. Just forgiving makes your life better. So now I'm playing around to see what letters works best, and I wanted an assortment of letters. I didn't want to use just letters that look the same. I want the letters to be interesting and to be meaningful in the font itself. And that's why I love that Maggie Holmes chipboard sheet. Those letters are beautiful and they're not the same. So that was my thinking of the letters. And now I'm just embroidering on the page with little things. You can also see I haven't adhered anything to the actual paper, the ruffle paper yet, because I want to add some ink. So I'm first working on my layout, and I'm just going to adhere the card pieces together. So I'm going to put the celebrate on that card, and I'm going to and that makes it easy when I want to take everything off, so I don't have to take a bunch of things off. And I'm just adhering that part to the card where my photo is on, and I want to adhere the flower to the back. So now I'm taking everything off, and I'm going to add some pink paint. I'm using some Heidi Swap Color Shine in Coral, that's the color's name, and I'm just going to spritz it all over my page. And you can see that the tissue paper absorbs it in a kind of weird way, but in the end I didn't mind how it looked, and I actually liked it so much so that I'm doing another page with wet media on the tissue paper tomorrow. So be sure to tune in tomorrow to In the Mood to Scrap. I'm telling you though, that page is one of my favorite pages I've ever made. Can't wait to show you. Anyway, so now I'm drying it, and you can see I'm ruffling it up a little because I want the texture of the ruffle paper. That's why I love it so much. I think it's wonderful and it's amazing. And now once it's dry, I'm just going to put everything back together again, like Humpty Dumpty. And again, you can see I'm moving it a lot, just placing it, finding that perfect spot, and I'm just using a touch of hot glue to glue everything, to place it together. And I really wish I could work that quick in real life. I love that flare by 2Piece. It's 2Piece exclusive. And then just adding a little bit of embellishments. And there you can see the page. So what I want to do now is I want to mount it to a background just on one side, and I'm just going to cut it a little smaller with my paper trimmer. And then I'm going to add my journaling. I always, except sometimes, journal a lot on my pages, and this is one of those exceptions, and mainly just because there wasn't a lot of place to journal. So I just accepted it for what it was, and I think the numbers explains a lot about the page, and maybe that this is one of those pages that you have to talk about, and that's okay. So if I make a page once in a while where there's not a lot of journaling on it, I just forgive myself and I move on. But that's just me. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you participate in the challenge, and I hope you tune in tomorrow for a very exciting page that I'm going to show you how to make. And thank you so much for watching. And my name is Wilna Furstenberg, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.